Islam.
So we got a guest today.
Oh, got a guest?
Yeah, I know what Dantes.
No, but not.
FLP.
Brothers.
Oh, is your
Islam
sound muted?
Noble. Islam
Noble?
Success.
I can't tell if the sound is muted. I can't tell.
Maybe or may not have made the audio.
Yeah, I think it's audio. Still trying to get it together.
Peace, 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 peace. Morris, how y'all feeling, man?
Good.
Great.
We had a good workout this morning, man.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
An amazing workout. So, you know, yesterday, we illuminated in the DAP class yesterday, the Cannabis Christ and the Seven Seals. More, you should check that out in True Light Seekers. And whatever you identify as, check it out. But we're going to be adding on to a little science from yesterday. Then I'm going to take it a little deeper and I'm going to pass it over to Noble Lamarck. But yesterday I was illuminating a little bit of the preface in the Seven Seals. But before we do that, can we do our Moorish American prayer, please?
Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Noble Ali, Shalom Malakim, Aya Ashaya, Hotel, Amen, peace, 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 peace.
Peace.
Peace, 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 peace. Noble, peace, Mom. That's Mom on there. And your artwork was amazing, man. I saw that you sent to me.
Oh, thank you.
Noble Bryant, or is Noble? I think Noble Lamarck traveling. So Noble Bryant, I'm gonna make you co-host real fast. And can you, if you please give me the pleasure, Noble, of putting back up the Seven Seals real fast. I'm just gonna jump in a little bit, and then I'm gonna get right into the teachings.
Hey, Chick, if I was trying to ask you a question.
Yes, go ahead. Ma, somebody said, you say what, Noble?
Hey, if I was trying to ask you a question.
Ma, can you hear me?
What's that?
You wanted to say something, Mama?
No.
Oh.
What you want to know? I went bike riding this morning.
Okay. Did you put your helmet on?
Yes, I did. But I gotta get a softer seat.
Yeah. So as Noble Brian is putting that Seven Seals on there, I want us to stay in the essence today, the Sunday school, and I'll continue to educate us and illuminate on this synchronicity and what it really consists of. So as Noble going there, remember we was talking about the seven yesterday, right? And the tree of life. And in the Kabbalah and a lot of things written Kabbalistically. When Noble Brian put the symbology up there, you're going to see the symbology. You're going to see the pentagram. And just how in African numbers systems, when I show y'all all those numbers that's and those symbols that signify to the 9. Go to page 20, Noble. And so we're just going to illuminate some things for you can have an eye when I tell you not only your own people and brothers and sisters to take the science and try to reverse it and throw it back to you as spookism. And we're not dealing with that. So always in IDMR, I want you to get it in your head when we talk about the man standing out, and it represents the pentagram, represents arm, leg, arm, head, represents all this science. when I started lecturing in my IDMR text 1 and 2. Because I'm always take us back to an infant and raise us back up. That's how I teach. I love to teach that way. That's how we all walk out in synchronicity. Islam?
Islam.
And so yesterday I showed y'all these images, but I was waiting for somebody to pick it up. Remember how I show y'all, like Hitler and all that, they'll go to certain continents and use the signs and symbols and reverse them, and all those signs and symbols come from an area where we talk about letting good energy in and letting a negative energy out, and the chi and the yin and the yang, all these things that these symbols that you can find in the continent of Africa, which my mother did a piece of art that demonstrates all this symbology and this number systems and things and etc. So let me give you a little synopsis on the analogy and stay in the context of this pentagram per se. Stay in the metaphysics of what we're doing. It's Sunday. We're connecting God and man as one. So the pentagram is a 5 penta, a point image, a gram made out of one continuous line with 5 equal angles. It calls upon to force of the 5th Sifra, the Jibra, the strength and the concept of what? Movement and action. When I tell Moors we are electric, we are commerce, why you always seeing me moving? Because if Allah is in me, I have to perfect this vessel. And when I say perfect, I have to practice, because I'm not practicing to get perfect. I'm practicing to get better each day and adding value too. So therefore, it is used. Somebody want to say something?
Islam.
Oh, Islam. Therefore, it is used in rituals. You can go live on our page, Noble, I'm sorry. Therefore, it is used in rituals to initiate the action of the operation, to call for a movement of energy. Stay in context. It represents in your hand with 5 fingers, but most of all, it represents your body with your 5 extremities. Here we go again. We talk about this pentagram. What I'm talking about: 2 legs, 2 arms, and your head. The pentagram with the 1 pointing up and 2 pointing down is the symbol of the what? Virtuous man. Isn't that on your IDMR text? Right? Come on, y'all, follow me, stay in the context. That's why I'm saying more science is understanding that God and man is one. A true map and a guide have to teach you from a base. Has to be a solid foundation. When I tell you my makeup, a true understanding of man made in the image of Elohim, and I can break down the physical body and all the extremities and the bones and everything and show you that the tabernacle built without hands symbolizes the physical temple. These is keys.
Islam. Islam.
And using this symbol will encourage you to imitate the virtuous and expand your consciousness in your action. That's why in IDMR, in my makeup, we say we study all the laws of the prophets, and we don't gravitate to one science where we miss the essence of the rest. We study all of occult scriptures, all of it. So look at this symbol, what you're looking at when it's standing so-called, how I like to say, straight up. What do you see in there? Do you see some things? Look clearly with the eye.
I see a man. I see the figure of a man.
What else you see?
I see the 5-pointed star, as they were saying.
What else you see?
The EVE and the AM. I also see the symbology of I'm forgetting what the symbol is called, particularly, but you bring the same thing around your neck as we speak.
All that symbology, the so-called Star of David per se, all this stuff in one. The Eve, the atom, look at it. The Eve, the atom, the so-called Baphomet, the male and female coming together as one, the cold volta, all this stuff that you're looking at in the eye. Let's proceed. The pentagram can also be reversed to symbolize the fallen man. Listen what I'm saying. So if this the upright man, y'all have the text. I teach y'all IDMR when this man standing up at the pentagram. So if I'm teaching you the upright man, it has its points pointing up and only one pointing down. Look at this. It's reversed. It symbolizes the fall of man. I'm showing you something. If you have eyes to see, or the decadent being, it has 2 pointing up and only 1 pointing down. It has 2 pointing up and only 1 pointing down. It has 2 pointing up and only 1 pointing down. Let's go back to the symbol. Go back to the righteous symbol. Go back. Because people should have been like, but we don't have eyes to see. I just broke down Baphomet and telling you that Baphomet is written Kabbalistically. It's nothing scary. It's Temp, Ho, Abs, Abba.
Islam.
Made in the image of David by blood. When you have one hand up, one hand down, that's cold Volta. You got to understand what that is. When you see that animal head, that's all animal figures are nothing but pious hieroglyphs. So look at this symbol. The pentagram can also be reversed when you're looking at this symbol. So as I go back to the man standing upright, that represents the pentagram, that represents Allah. Let me demonstrate this again. The upright pentagram. You got to be upright. How can you be upright if your 2 feet ain't planted on the ground? That don't even make sense. Let me reverse. In the church world, if we're in the Christian church, they'd be getting up saying, "Amen, Pastor."
It symbolizes God, correct?
They'll be like, "Hey," because the piano will be playing duh 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 duh, because I'm trying to make emphasis on something.
Mm-hmm.
They be like, "Go ahead, preacher, go slow." Everybody, touch your neighbor and say, "Neighbor."
Lean.
So if you're gonna touch a neighbor, touch him and give him something, give him some power. Because when man honors man, he honors Allah. So when we talk about this upright pentagram, it represents your hand with 5 fingers. But most of all, it represents in your body, and it's represented in your body with your 5 extremities. What extremities? 2 legs, 2 arms, and your head.
Islam. And no, the extremities are separated by 72 degrees. No.
Come on, Noble. We ain't even Noble. We still in elementary wisdom. That's why I said, Noble. Look. We got to spoon feed them, like Noble Lamarck was saying a couple teachers ago. A lot of people have been famished. They've been out in the wilderness. Man, we can't give you all this good food and water. We'll bust your stomach.
Amen.
Islam.
Amen.
We got to give you a little bit. And when you hear it, when you understand it, you should run to it. If we give ourselves all these titles, because my people know my voice and hear my voice. You got to understand this science. If not, then we going against ourselves. The pentagram with 1 pointing up, 1 pointing down is the symbol of the virtuous man. And using this symbol will encourage us to imitate the virtuous and expand our consciousness. Expand our consciousness. It said expand. So when we expanded, it didn't say limited. It didn't say put it in a box with religious dogma or some Moorish B to the S or hate speech. No. Light gives light to understanding. And my teachings is universal. If it ain't universal, how the hell did I graduate from academia speaking exactly like this, dressed exactly like this, with my Hebrew stole on, with my they like to say Jewish kaifa. Please. Using this symbol will encourage us. And then when you go down, now let's deal with stuff. You look at it. When I said, look at this symbol, go back, look at this symbol. The symbol has so much. Because before we had language, I told y'all signs and symbols of the primordial man by Albert Churchward. Man, we got to start dissecting this stuff and start sitting these characters on their hands and say, man, we ain't finna be playing with y'all. The European is not the joke in masonry, y'all. The Negro is. Say what, Noble Brian?
I was just saying how the perfected man or the upright man is resting in the seal and the 2 or in the wheel and on the wheel.
Come on,
you know what I'm saying? That's circle 7.
Come on, Noble. Noble, we going somewhere. This is illumination. We building. Now you know how to 1 plus 1, you know it's 2. Now I'm gonna show you how to multiply. And you add that. Those are tools in your toolbox, which our Morse Quran clearly illuminates eloquently. Willa Silvertongue in chapter 5. Now, the pentagram can also be reversed to symbolize the falling man or the decaying being. It has 2 points pointing up and only 1 pointing down. It is mostly used by the unconscious and uninformed. The black magi's, the black masons, our empresses, that's the daughters of American Revolution. No hate, are the ones that wear their fez in secrecy. Our empresses talk about they some daughters of American Revolution and never wear their white fez with the gold tassel that represents the East, that represents them, that represents them. They'll never wear it. But they'll run from their brother that teach the degrees, that the European will sit down and be like, he's your teacher. They sons of Muslims. So if somebody a son, who you think the daddy is? I'll be transparent with y'all. And they don't really promote the expansion of consciousness. I'm speaking on expansion. Just like my dad say, you don't have to get rid of what you, how can I say it, your makeup if it's solid foundation. Just like when I deal with my Gnostic teachers, when I deal with Abramelin the Magi, a lot of my Gnostic and a lot of the magical books, I say, man, you got to understand that you are the essence.
Amen.
And so when you see these reverse symbols, now what you see, now what you look at, you got to look at these. You got to look with a clear eye. And then just like when Hitler took the so-called, and that ain't no swastika, when y'all come out here for our 3rd annual Moore's Ball, when I take y'all to the Herz Museum, and I don't like to say people names because I don't give them credit. I say anybody that's promoting that Eurocentric and that Negrocentric propaganda is a goofball. When they say, oh, Hitler came up with this so-called swastika. Man, Hitler ain't come up with that. I'm going to show y'all in the Herz Museum what that really means, what the essence of it means. And we're going to let it stay right there because the European agree with true scholarship. This international. This ain't no hate speech. And depending on the direction of the pentagram's energy flow. Now we're talking about energy flow. It's either summoning, of banishing, inviting, or pushing away. And in the lower earth banishing pentagram ritual, we are starting from the earth point, the lower left, and doing a clockwise movement to the up point, then the lower right, the left point, then the right point, and finishing at the beginning, at the lower left. Stay with me. That's a certain type of way things move. It's somewhat a clockwise movement, if anybody know it, and it banishes. I'm telling you, just like in Hebrew writings and things, don't it go from one way to the other way, not the opposite way? Right?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I want people to understand something, get something where I won't even destroy a person. They getting y'all all the way to the wrong place because they lost a mistranslation. And no one will fact check that folly. And it starts at the earth point. So it banishes lower dense energies. Demons per se and ghosts within are usually afraid of this banishing pentagram. It's in rituals and things. When they ask you to what? Why in all rituals it asks you to draw a pentagram? Just like in masonry, just like in Crypts of Bloods. Why you think all the signs and symbols the same? It ain't osmosis. The pentagram in mid-air with your fingers, all this stuff. So go to page 22, Noble, and I'm going to go to the next part of my teachings. Look at this pentagram. Moore's talk about you lost in dogma. And when you invoke the pentagram in your rituals, you see this energy, you see this life force, you see this visualization. When we say life is the name of God vibrating, just like after class today, we did our Tibetan bowl. When we say the I am, when I talk about those Yoso Somos code, when I talk about Haya, and you look right in the middle, you got what? Yah to the right and Yah to the left. Haya, 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 Haya. Come on, man. It's all the same cultural. It might be a different vernacular, but you're going to the same essence.
You know, that sounds like, quote unquote, some Indian stuff I done heard before.
Yeah, it is. It's mantras. It's shamanic energies. That's why I said and adapt. You must when you go places. That's why I'm in my cultural. They like to say the Jewish or the Jew, but I'm in my Hebrew attire. You see me? You see me with my tallit on. You see me what's on my head, my yarmulke. Come on, man. We ain't even got deep with it. God, the absolute highest form of God, is undefined, without name and shape. It can't be known per se in that context. Gratitude for the donations, Morpheus Bay. Gratitude, Noble, and I did, and I send you love. And Morpheus Bay, hit my email up and I can send you some literature. GoodmanCurry@gmail.com. I give gratitude for nobles that send donations. But it's the creator, the absolute uncreated void and all, null and complete. When I say Aya, Asha, Aya, man made in the image of the great God. The mind can't grasp this concept. The lower mind can't. The names of God are the highest mass over the face of the absolute, the undefined God. That's why when I break things down, when my noble Alonzo, when he's giving our benediction and he's giving El Rahim, Yahu Yamin, all these names and all these phrases we giving credit to Allah. And when you get your God name Bible, and you see El Elyon, you see Jehovah Jireh. That's all those powers. That's all those hats that manifestation working in. We're not talking about many different gods. If you look at it with a close eye, you're talking about that working power you working in. Because then in one context, Brian would be something at work. If he have an empress, he'd be something to that empress. He'd be a father. So it's many hats. He ain't no different God. Islam. I hope y'all following me. That's like the 99 beautiful names of Allah. Look at the 99 names, the beautiful names of Allah, and look at them what they mean and say in English, and then get your holy name Bible, your God name Bible, and look in the preface and see all the different names of God and those working powers. You be like, okay, this is synonymous, but just different words. This supreme wisdom right here.
Islam.
This supreme wisdom. We should be celebrating what I'm saying. No one should be going. No one should have nothing. You say what, Noble?
It's synchronization. It's like we were dealing with in that class with Lamont spoke about having the missing piece, or they always give us the science in tidbits, right? Or in little pieces, right? And when we have the opportunity to see the box, like when you have a puzzle, you go by the box. So you're like, okay, when I'm this stuff, I'm gonna match over here, right? But when you lost, you gonna have to go by. When she compares as a map and a guide, he's like the boss. He's sitting out of the pieces, like, yo, we're gonna put this puzzle together. That's why I say I have gratitude. It's not enough gratitude that I could speak in regards to the science and just in regards to the love. So with that, I say Islam.
Noble, they tell your children by calling the name of God. We are summoning the most holy power to flow through us. Not just no regular power, holy power. But then they say praise the holy name. And they want to get you with some Jesus. And it will never a J in the Hebrew dialect. What's the holy name? They're going to try to say it's too heavy for you to say? How? See? The light is everywhere. For us, the mystic inside, the light is the force within the elements, the power moving beyond the atoms, binding atoms together to form matter, physical and spiritual planes. That's why I tell us the divine comes first.
Divine comes first.
The light is everywhere. The light is everything. I'm on page 26, Noble. You know how I like to jump around because it's already in my head. I just like to, But contemplation of this thought will make your human mind available to feel the force beyond matter. So we got to do certain things, and what we're doing is practicing. It's a good day today. It's a good day today. Y'all see this book right here? I'm gonna show something. I'm gonna teach something. I was lecturing, and I knew a girl was going to school for African American history, and she was lecturing on this, didn't even know the history of this brother. Yep.
A lot of free slaves,
that
went to England.
Yep. The
common house.
Yep. The interesting narrative of the life of Olado Equino, written by himself. Now watch this. Remember when I tell you the Europeans are going to always agree with science? When I say the Igbo and the Igbo of Nigeria, we are the Igbo and the Igbo Hebrew.
My daughter studied that book in class, in college.
Yeah, now watch this. Remember I showed y'all this document, right?
Yeah.
This goes with this. This synchronize it. When you eliminate all the dogma from anybody with color, anything, it synchronize it. I'm gonna jump through it. I'm gonna jump through it, and then we're gonna go to the next part of the teaching, because this Sunday school. When I tell you the European agree with me, especially if they're a Freemason. So Igbo people with all over the world, greetings, shalom. And then if you say shalom, sometimes somebody say back to you, Allah King Shalom, mean you will say peace, and they'll say peace to you, or peace be with you, brother. But Igbo people all over the world, and we greet with shalom. The blessings to Chakwu, Abama, praise to Yahshua, aka Jesus. It is my prayer and hope that this science will be a tremendous blessing from the great God. And I pray that this science will help all the Igbos to understand the plans of God, creating them. I also pray that the true identity of the Igbo people will be made known and solidified in the world. May God of Abraham help Igbo people to take their prophetic destiny in a rightful place in Israel beside their brother Judah and Levi as the tribe of Gad. Come on, y'all gotta know this. What are we? Come on, we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood, right? In Yahshua's name. And then the European agree with everything I'm saying, because I got them. He sent me some of the literature when he was dealing in Igbo land. He was a professor at GCU. So, and I did an oral dissertation on this. So we dedicate this science to Chukwu Abana, the God of Abraham, and the following people, that helped bring the science to illumination. And so, as I give a little reference, Gad and his sons in Genesis 46 and 16, and the sons of Gad, Zephoni and Haggai, Sunai and Zebon, Eri and Ardi and Areli. It's evidence that Gad's sons or descendants of Gad's sons, Eri, Ariali, and Aradi. I can hear a lot of stuff in the background, like somebody got air in the back. Prior to the Exodus travel, the members of various other tribes of Israel, such as Judah, stay in context. Levi, Zebulun to Nigeria and became what? The Igbo people. Just like when I'm gonna show you all about the Negro people. When you be like, man, Sheik, I done told you all those Europeans, no disrespect, they'll lie to you and try to act like it's some aliens. It's also that even after the Exodus and at the different points in history, before and after the Babylonian and the Assyrian captivities, that the Gedites and other Israeli tribes made their way down to Nigeria to join their brothers who they knew were already there. And when I say Eurocentric propaganda and Negrocentric propaganda, it has nothing to do with color. I want to be clear. I'm coming from academia. We have to do the work. But what Israel and others say about Nido Igbo? Since 1789 AD, that Jews have been interested in the possible Igbo-Israel connection when a former Igbo slave named Olada Equino, living in London, first proposed the Igbo-Israeli relationship to the autobiography. What autobiography? I just showed y'all the book. Angelic missionary G.T. Baston, the first to minister to the Igbo people, wrote many books which claimed and connected the Igbos to the tribes of Israel. Several editions of the Encyclopedia Britannica in 1929 connected the Igbo people to Gad. A Torah commentary on the Shema in 1922 made the Igbo-Gad connection also family. Some Igbos, including Dr. Ekidif, recalls Israelis visiting Igbo land and investigating such claims during the Biafran War. And if y'all don't have these books, it's a book called the Igbos, the Nigerian Jews. I have to pull it out and show y'all. I'll post it on my page. But under the direction of the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in October of 1955, nobles, and in May 1997, under Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel government sent delegates looking for a long-lost brother, Eri. They went to Nigeria, state to state, town to town, tribe to tribe, quietly observed to see if any recognizable Hebraic traits or customs will pop out. And when they made it out to Obul God, their search ended as they saw the Igbos there displaying Hebraicness in their culture. They even saw the ancient stone throne of Gad and immediately recognized the scripts at the foot of the throne as Paleo-Hebrew, not no modern Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew. Stay in context because we eliminate all dogma. Paleo-Hebrew. They also visited many sites that have been connected to Eri and the Igbo people. This was documented on a film and later shown on Israeli television. I got the film. I'll show it later. Ambassador in March 1996. ambassador to Nigeria, visited Neri and cried acknowledgement that the Igbos was among the lost tribes of Israel. We talk about scholarship, forget your feelings. Before he left, he gave Nairi a gift of olives and oil, stating that such gifts were only given to kings of Israel. In October 23rd, 1997, Yitzhak David, an American Jew, a European, Albion, Trelodite, whatever they want to say, and no disrespect to nobody. If they want to call you a Negro and a black man and all that stuff, that's misnomers, man, don't get mad at me for using your words. Because I don't believe in no white, no black. And he was the program director of King Solomon Sephardic Federation, was televised visiting the king in Nui. Also a king I have personally visited myself, Iwi Kenneth Ozuri III, the author was saying. And he visit these Nigerians. Visit the landscapes of Africa, the exotic rhythms and mass dances, provided all this science, and the descendants of the Israelite tribe of Gad. And they interpreted their name, Ibo, I-B-O, as a mispronounced Hebrew. Until this day, until today, the members pray to Chukwu Abama, or Abiyama, C-H-U-K-W-U, capital A-B-I-A-M-A. Research this. Abraham's God. The Igbos, well known for their struggle for independence in the Biafra War, are now considered the Jews of Nigeria and have contributed greatly to the intellectual and the economic development in the country. I can tell you by genetics that no disrespect, that nobody, by blood, I guarantee you anybody that don't look like you, that's a Jewish person to tell you who the true Jew is by blood and genetics. It's no hate, it's no slander. I mean, I go to the Jewish church. My professor was Jewish. I mean, come on. It's no mystery. Y'all see the Pope with all the stuff on his stole and everything. Y'all don't know what that stuff be on his talent. Look at the stuff. It's no hate. So, in the White House memo dated Tuesday, January 28, 1969, the President Nixon, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger describes the Igbos as the wandering Jews of the West. And get the 13th tribe. Get the book 13th Tribe, and get the book The International Jew by Henry Ford. But the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized, and at best invade and resistant, but mostly despised by their neighbors in the Federation. Foreign Relations Documents, Volume E5, Documents on Africa, 1969 and 1972. I'm giving y'all peer-reviewed scholarly research. It's nothing to disagree with. Now, you might not like my candor, and that's fine. Might not like my candor, and I'm okay with that. But cultural evidence linking the Igbo to Gad in 1789. I showed y'all the book already right here. Olada Iquana, an Igbo, oops, upside down. An Igbo and a former slave who lived in London said in his autobiography that the Igbos were of the lost tribe of Israel, and cited that the many identical cultural similarities between them and the Jews. And when the missionaries, aka I like to call them colonizers, came to Nigeria to evangelize, to colonize. That's just a sweet word for colonize. They were dumbfounded to discover that the Igbo people practiced many Hebraic Jewish customs, which they could not have learned from anyone else. And it had to come from ancient practice of their people from antiquity, for they had no Bibles and met no one with a Bible until the missionaries came. When I started talking about Credo Matua of the Zulu, when Islam, they understood Islam, but we didn't pray to dead spirits. We are the spirits. We are the medicine men. We are the shamans. We are the Magi's. We got to understand this. They found that the Igbos practice and the Igbos practice eating of animals that met the biblically clean requirements, as well as the complete draining of blood from the animal, as well as other laws concerning, and they like to say kosher, but y'all know if y'all speak the vernacular, it's kashert, a way the blood is drained from animals before it's consumed, has a concept of clean and unclean, acceptable and abominable or taboo, animal sacrifice like unto the Levitical sacrificial system, belief in a supreme all-powerful deity, the Chukwu above all other deities. I'm gonna start showing y'all things when y'all, what's my man name, Forrest Whitaker? I'm gonna start showing y'all tribal things too about Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker know what I'm saying. Circumcision on the 8th day, as well as the naming ceremony of the 8th day and the 8-day-old child, giving names that bear the name of the title of God within it, giving names that bear the name or title of God within that vessel. So all this, I don't want to give in all, I don't want to stay too far in all those practices that was already happening. Shemitah and Jubilee years, the annulment of death and servitude every 7 and 50 years, burying the dead facing the east, the direction of Jerusalem and the promised land, citing Shiva. When I talk about the Bhagavad Gita, citing Shiva, 7-day mourning period where one sits on low stools, remains unkept and shave their heads in grief, belief in resurrection, sending of the bodies home of Igbos who died out of Igbo land to be buried. That's in your biblical scriptures, like who? Like Joseph and Jacob, desiring not to be buried in a pagan or foreign land, right?
No, you're right.
For all my Bible scholars, I mean, I'm just asking my people that love the Bible because I love the scriptures. We can do this all day. I don't need the book. I can go right off the dome and have you looking at all the Bibles, and all you can do is check the Levite type marriages, brothers marrying deceased brothers' wives, all that stuff. And then you have archaeological evidence. The Paleo Hebrew script has been found in various places in Igbo territories of Nigeria. Drawings like unto Mogan David, the Star of David, been found in various places of Igbo land prior to missionary arrival to Nigeria. And there is a stone throne at Abu Ghad, which confirmed Paleo, which is ancient Hebrew inscription at the foot of the throne that indicates that the throne was constructed in honor of Gad. And there was also an onyx stone found in Igbo land with the Paleo Hebrew word Gad on it. And in 1917, family, the British discovered about 500 feet below the soil on the palace grounds a solid bronze Star of David, indicating the Igbo people and the Igbo people may have migrated from the ancient city of David. To commemorate this event, Nigerian kobo or kabu coins were minted with a David on it and with a Star of David on it. Research all this stuff. Islam?
Islam. Amen.
Man, we ain't even touched the surface. I'm almost done. So now so get that so-called 6-point star as we was building on yesterday. When we talk about man's animal nature, it partakes of the earth. I'm going off a lecture I did a while ago, so I'm just freestyling. Our divine nature of the heavens, our human nature of the meditator and the mediator. When you look at, that's the 5-point star, but when you look at that so-called 6-point star, and it's in the 7 seals. Remember, it's a hexagonal. When I talk about a hex alpha, when I talk about the graduation hat and the fez, both 360 degrees, that's why I said a lot of people that's wearing that fez is a dunce hat. It's a dunce hat to those. But the seal of Solomon is also known as the double triangle of the Kabbalist, the alchemist, or the creator star. It's a hexagonal figure formed of 2 interlaced equilateral triangles. Esoterically speaking, Morris, the upright triangle family embodies the masculine. Just like when I talk about the Baphomet, when I'm speaking Kabbalistically, as the downward, the divine feminine. And in science, the 2 triangles are the symbols of both fire, which we already agree as scientists, it illuminates what? Phosphorus. Come on, this is too much science. And what? Water. The 2 key chemical energies of our DNA, RNA, all that we must seek to master in order to create a life that is akin to heaven on earth. And if the forces control us, then our lives may be a long walk through the so-called pits of your hell. That's why when I give these analogies and these parables and these symbologies, the seal of Solomon signifies all that is unified in perfect balance with these chemical energy forces. And a master of the as above and so below, so you can be as healthy as possible on the as within, both mentally and physically, in order for you to operate effectively on the as without. An alchemical heaven that we simply create with our thoughts, our will, our words, and our actions. And the second gospel of Clement to the Corinthians, for the Lord himself being asked when his kingdom should come, answered, when two shall be one. This is the biblical scriptures. When two shall be one. When two shall be one. You got to understand the riddles. Somebody got to break it down. And that which is without as that which is within. And the male with the female, neither male nor female. Which mystery but deeply signifies words Clement attempts to explain by adding nobles, when man shall have united both his or her soul and spirit in the obedience of reason. Then when the biblical scriptures, as Brother Paul says, stay in the context, there is in us neither male nor female. So when you get that so-called triangle, get that in your head, the triangle going up, and then get that in your head being red. Fire is an equiliteral triangle with its apexes pointing upward for flame ascents. In that form, Islam, stay with me. And then when we do that same symbol going down, it's the same thing as mirroring it. But now we go down. Now we're going to say it's in the blue. Water, again, it's opposite. When I talk about in the morning, I want to walk under the sun, and at night I want to walk under the stars. Stay in this science. Water, again, is the opposite element that is denoted by a triangle with the apex pointing downwards, showing the way or how water exerts its powers. And that marriage, that synchronicity, that coming together, the marriage of the opposites and the mastery of those forces that are within us, all of us, not just me, all of us, as above, so below, as within, so without. Let me draw a little bit and see, can y'all see my little pictorial? I'm not my mother on here, so pardon my hand. But I just want to give y'all a little pictorial. Bear with me. Bear with me, nobles. I'm almost with you. Then I'm gonna do something up top, and I'm gonna let y'all look at my penmanship. All right. So, yep, I see that complete pentagram. You see this? You see my pictures. So the first picture I got is okay, great. So the first picture I got is a triangle or a half pentagram, whatever. And then I got a line under the bottom of the triangle, symbolizing air. Then I turn it upside down, and then I put a line under it, and then it symbolizes earth. Then I have another triangle standing up with no line under it. It represents the fire standing up. And then I have another part of the pentagram with the triangle standing down representing water. And then when you put them all together in this context, in this science, you're going to get the unity balance. You're going to get the all that is. You're going to get the all that is. When I say, Aya Asha Aya, I will be what I will to be. That's the all that is. You got to stay with that. If nobody understanding that, there's no light and there's no truth in them. That's why everybody needs to be here. This is the Gnostic teachings. And when we master these forces, we can become God's messenger. Creators connected to the Godhead who are able to operate at a level of much higher than other people. When we say we are peculiar and we meek, absolutely, as Bailey says, absolutely. These forces that each one of us contains within our very blood that we master. We master the as within and the so without in our lives. And we can then heal ourselves of these diseases, both physical and self-induced mental manias. Our senses are heightened and our perceptions are refined to the point when we become highly intuitive, superhumans who simply operate at a level much higher than our fellow man on the street. We become like the so-called Yahshua in the flesh, the Jesus per se, and reach the Christ consciousness. I showed y'all the Galatha. I showed y'all the signs and symbols about the blood trickling down on the skull. I showed y'all all this in the Gnostic teachings. Or like Buddha obtaining that so-called Buddhahood per se. Just like in Masonry, when they like to give Manly P. Hall and they only 33 degrees of wisdom, that's in meteorology when water freezes. Stay with me. And he talk about some secret teachings of all ages. That ain't nothing. That's on page 143. What the sun is to the solar system, the spirit is to the bodies of man. For his natures, organs, functions are as planets surrounding the central life or the sun and living upon its emanations. The solar power in man is divided into three parts more, which are termed the threefold human spirit of man. All three of these spiritual natures are said to be radiant and transcendent, united. They form the divinity in man. Man's threefold lower nature, consisting of this physical organism, our emotional nature, our mental faculties, reflects the light of this threefold divinity and bears witness of the physical world Moors and true light seekers. Man's threefold bodies are symbolized by an upright triangle, and when united in the form of a six-pointed star, we are called by the European Jews, no disrespect, the Star of David, the Signet of Solomon, and are more commonly known as today the Star of Zion. And these triangles symbolize the spiritual and the material. When I say 360 is the sum total of just material wisdom, but 720 is the sum total of what? Both material and spiritual wisdom. Why? Because we must master our higher selves. Linked together in the constitution of the human creature, who partakes of both nature and divinity. Man's animal nature partakes on this earth. Our divine nature of the heavens, the human nature of the mediator. That's why the double triangle, the emblem of the children of the new dispensation, the six-pointed star of the double triangle, or the macrocosm, may well be adopted by the new dispensation. All this stuff is nothing new, man. So I want us to be clear on this. That's why that seal of Solomon was a so-called magical signet ring. They always try to take things and put them outward. Islam Moors?
Islam.
As I'm past, if we want to proceed, my noble, Malik is going to give us a little more science and we out of here. But nobles, next week, I'm going to show y'all how people lie to y'all when you look up what is a Nibiru. Y'all ever heard of the Nibiru? And they always try to make it seem up like it's some aliens, right? I know y'all heard about this, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
You see? And many people are under this false assumption that is this planet called Nibiru or Nibiru made famous. And I'll tell y'all by Zechariah Stinson when I show y'all the Anunnaki, all that shit is Eurocentric Freemasonry. It's garbage. He got a book called 12th Planet. I'm telling you. And the planet that Stinson and others call Nibiru has actually been known for thousands of years as what? Planet Jupiter. I'm telling y'all, man. And you get the word Nibiru or Nibiru. That's why these Egyptologists, all our brothers, they be getting this Eurocentric garbage. They get it from the Sumerians. When I told y'all when Noah Lamarck was out here, we went to the Greek restaurant and y'all they try to say them some Anunnaki. The brother says, brother, you know who that are. He like, that's the Iberians, the Sumerians, who were describing the planet Jupiter as it passes continually backwards and forwards near the ecliptic like a ferry boat. And I started showing y'all all the symbols. It's also been known to scholars who have verified that these facts, when you show European scholars, Michael Hessner, when they talk about the myth of a Sumerian 12th planet, Nibiru simply means fairy or ferryman or fad. Mikis Nibiru is the toll one has to pay for crossing a river. You see how they get y'all caught up with garbage, and there's another title for Jupiter as it changes its position and crosses the sky. I guarantee you, man. So I'm telling you, all been played. That's why the mythical Marduk, the mystical Marduk, who is also known as Nibiru, is in reality just the planet Jupiter. Enel and Ea or Ea is mentioned, suggested that Marduk, Jupiter, claims the Anuship for himself. I'm telling y'all, man. So I don't want to stay in that, man. I want to pass the mic to Noble so he can illuminate this science, and we out of here, man. Islam didn't even take long. We just connecting things when I say we cannot be walking around here prejudiced and acting like it's a different science. This monotheism. This is the triple roll of the adapt chamber. A true scholar that's international will teach you the Paraclete, teach you the Fatimid, teach you the Christian or the Jerusalem rite, and teach it from a right context, from no biasness. I can show you that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization proved by the Bible. We've done this a plethora of times.
Islam. No doubt.
Islam. Noble Lamarck, you want to take the narration? I don't know if Noble Lamarck is here. Oh, who put? Brian, you put that up, Noble? Okay, well, whoever viewing it. Okay, well, hey, what happened? Because that's what we were gonna.
I put it up for Lamar.
Okay, can you put it back? Can you put it up, and we'll just touch on that, and we'll get out of here. Gratitude, Noble. So if anybody want to read with me, we can. Noble Lamarck was going through this teaching in our ADAPT class on Saturday, because we go over a lot of history. We go over a lot of book history. We go over a lot of laws and a lot of things that people would just talk about, but we deal with solutions. And so a lot of this stuff we talk about, in our ADAPT class or our history and law and civic class on Saturdays. So Noble Lamarck was in the Negro, the Black, and the Moor. He was in chapter 2. And right off the top, you can see in the Dred Scott versus Sanford. I hope a lot of us know what the Dred Scott and Sanford, do we know what that is? Do everybody know what that really consists of?
Once you're a slave for life.
Ma, what you say, Ma?
I said enlighten everyone.
Well, absolutely. So first we talk about I want to illuminate, even before we talk about Dred Scott, we will talk about Abraham Lincoln before he was the president. He was an attorney for almost 20-something years. And when you research the history, Abraham Lincoln defended the Moor in court. Because anytime you identified as Negro, Black, and colored, you was a slave. You couldn't own nothing. You couldn't be married. You couldn't have no land. That was slander. I guarantee you. So when you research that history, that's number one. To be identified as a Negro, Black, and colored, even in those times, was denoting, connotating that you are agreeing to be a slave and you have no ownership. So then in the Dred Scott versus Sanford decision in 1857, and this was on Jeopardy, y'all. This was on Jeopardy. This was on Jeopardy. And nobody wasn't talking about that. Like, see, look. This was on Jeopardy. The lady said, "Oh, the Dred Scott decision? Like, anytime you identify Negro, Black, and color, you'll be a slave for life." She said, "Oh, the Dred Scott versus Sanford." The United States Supreme Court ruled that the descendants of Africans who were Negroes of the African race, who were imported into the United States. You say you were brought here on some ships. That's what everybody say. So you agreeing? Descendants of Africans who were Negroes of the African race, who were imported in the United States and sold as slaves, were not included nor intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, whether emancipated or not, and remain without rights or privileges, except such as those which the government might grant them. In layman terms, this means that the descendants of Africans were deemed by the chattel property. Now let us briefly examine a few excerpts from Chief Justice Roger B. Taney in the Dred Scott decision and the excerpt from the Justice Daniels in his concurring opinion. The following is Chief Justice Taney. Before we get into all of that, nobles, we got to paint a picture. Why would anybody that say they love you say your freedom is connected to blackness and black is a misnomer? Why? Why? Now, and I'm coming from love. Why would anybody that say that love you say, oh, your freedom is connected to blackness and black is as no nationality and black is a misnomer? And according to science and law, black means death. Why?
I have no clue. Confusion.
Can you put the document back up, Noble? The document, you took the document down. Thank you. Why? And then have I tell us nobles, we ain't here just to talk about old stuff. We're here to bring ourselves back to something, because everybody want to ask questions of what we have to do, what we call ourselves. The history, we defend the Constitution. One, we understand that the House Joint Resolution 75, write this stuff down, because I'm building up. And you research this stuff. House Joint Resolution 75. Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, when it clearly says that you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. And the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. That's Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. Ask these brothers about the House Joint Resolution 75. Where law, to bring you back to a whole, you must annex your L obey to your name. Ask them about the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity. These is keys. We're talking about solutions. So what's the solutions? The one, proclaiming, declaring, and having due process, annexing your L obey to your name, what you do on your own. Number two is being a part of a tribe, which the religious laws trump. Do y'all see any Mormons or the Amish arguing about some shot or some Roe versus anything? Yes or no?
No, not at all.
Okay then. Because the religious rights trump everything. I'm telling y'all, facts. These is keys. The question is simply, can a Negro whose ancestors were imported in this country and sold as slaves, when these brothers say their ancestors were slaves, when these brothers get on these TV shows, no disrespect, I'm not going to say names, y'all seen it. I'm just giving things back to you to compare, to go back in your hippocampus and be like, yeah. When y'all got on, when they was on TV, when those rappers was like, what should we call ourselves? And had all those so-called scholars, and they talk about your freedom is connected to your blackness, that's asinine. And then one of the brothers, when they were supporting, no disrespect, when they were supporting politics, but why do us, Noble Dantes, we don't anoint our own brothers and sisters in politics, because there's nothing but a vote. We all want to support somebody that don't look like us. And then they'll get on TV with a shirt supporting somebody that don't look like you in your community, but then have a shirt on, and I'm talking about an entertainer that says, kill your masters. Well, if you got on a shirt that say kill your masters doing political time, what you are admitted that you a slave. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about nonverbal communication. These people be thinking they slick and act like nobody can question this stuff, but we can.
Yeah.
We supposed to.
Bring your DNA.
We supposed to. It's a trick play, because most of these brothers, no disrespect, is operating masonry backwards. No disrespect. I illuminate this science. We here for love. It would be observed that the pleas apply to that class of persons only whose ancestors were Negroes of an African race. Further along, Justice Taney said that these classes of persons were not constituent members of this sovereignty, and that they are not included and were intended to be included in the word citizens in the Constitution. Not no sovereign citizen, because that's an oxymoron. You ain't nothing by yourself. And he then went on to say, family, on the contrary, they were at the time considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings. And notice in Judge Taney's statement above he articulates that the arguments apply to that class of person only whose ancestors were Negroes of the African race. Also in an excerpt below by Justice Daniel, who stated specifically the African Negro race. Now look at Justice Daniel's comments from his conjuring opinion below. and I read eloquently. Now the following are truth with a knowledge of history of the world, and particularly of own country, compels us to know that the African Negro race never have been acknowledged as belonging to the family of nations. That as amongst them, there never has been known or recognized by the inhabitants of the countries any thinking or anything partaking of the character of nationality, silver or political polity. This race has been by all the nations of Europe regarded as subjects of capture, purchase, subjects of commerce, traffic, and the introduction of the race in every section of this country was not as members of a civil or political society, but as a property in the strictest sense of the term. A noble Dantes, you want to hear some more recent history of how you ever heard of the Wilmington white man's constitution?
I haven't heard of that one.
Google it. And it's going to tell you, how when I don't have to go all the way back in history. I could get current with it and show you how when you within a certain area, when you ruling, and how people come together and make policy and overthrow you. So you got to think about it. Why did both justices make the distinction Negroes of the African race? What was the significance? Can you slide it over a little bit? Can Negroes be of other races? Can Negroes be of other races? Now we start dealing with that. Listen, if the Moors ruled Spain for so-called 708 years, what do you think you are then? A Spaniard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking. Don't get it twisted. Don't let nobody get you caught up. Were other races, different Africans, other than the ones called Negroes? What other sovereign of people were during the late 1770s? And can you pull the page over a little bit, Noble? Over to the left, because like over to the left a little bit. Over to my left. It might be your right.
Yeah, well.
Okay, well you can shrink it a little bit. I can still read it. Shrink it a little bit for me. There you go. Gratitude. Yep, shrink it back how it was. And then I'll maximize it on my end. If you can shrink it for me.
Very good.
Well, you ain't shrinking. That's all right, though, no, but I'll just go through it. But before discussing the 1883 Supreme Court decision, taking the pit, when you talk about one of the amendments, you got to refer to a book entitled The Negro is a Beast. Remember that book I told y'all, The Negro is a Beast? Yeah, kind of shrink it down, Noble. I wish you could shrink it down just a little bit for me.
If I could assist you, I could see the whole screen. I could narrate.
There you go. I've been waiting for somebody to do that.
Okay. Before discussing the 1883 Supreme Court decision, taking the pith out of the 14th Amendment, I would like to reference the book entitled "The Negro, a Beast, or in the Image of God" by Charles. See Figure 2.2-2.3. Carroll spent 15 years of his life and $20,000 in its completion compilation. This book was entered into the Library of Congress here tonight. First,
Nemosine, yeah, it's a reprint. It's a printing company.
Okay, gratitude. And it was reprinted from a copy in the Fisk University Library Negro Collection. We will examine the following excerpt, and it reads: As a matter of fact, the Negro was never a slave. To conceive the design of enslaving an individual, we must presuppose that he is free. The first act of enslavement is to deprive him of his liberty. This Negro never had since the creation of man. The Negro is an ape, hence his status in the universe. His relation to man, like every other animal, was fixed irrevocably by God in the creation, and no act upon man's part, whether legislative, executive, or judicial, can change it.
They talking about the Neanderthal.
Come on, Noble. I'm trying to tell you. And a hybrid. It ain't you.
No. Continuing, consider for the moment how many persons of European descent or so-called white Americans have read this book or had it in their possession and shared it with their families and friends. Whether anyone would acknowledge it by lynching, murders, or degradation of the Negro, especially in South and the border states, would clearly demonstrate the overwhelming hatred of so-called Negroes. Many scholars would suggest that the so-called Negro was dehumanized, therefore their lives were not regarded as having value, since the Negro was thought of as no more than a common animal. However, we do not have any historical reference of cat and dog lynching. Research has confirmed that the most so-called Negro or black have Negro AB. Yet this book was housed in the Fisk University, a historically black college. Looking back to the early 1900s and beyond, one can easily see that this book was designed to cause the so-called Negro to feel shame. Just review a few drawings from the book. Today,
No. No, I was going to say, this just bring you back to the Dooming of the Nation.
Hey, no, I was waiting for somebody to start connecting. I was waiting.
That's that chapter of Islam.
It's there. It's there.
Today, many people of both races distance themselves from discussing or even reading this book. However, this book in viewpoints promoted by the 19th centuries, the resulting psychological effects is alive and prevalent in the current racial today.
Now hold on. Now Fisk University, y'all know, like a certain these areas, when you look up Fisk University and they said these was housed in black universities, a lot of this stuff is there. Why your so-called professors, no disrespect, like y'all see on TV, those ones with the big beard that used to be dissing Obama, why you think they ain't talking about this pseudoscience? Why you think they ain't talking about the pseudoscience? Because they got paid. It's there. This we talk about going back to our parents was little. We talk about going back to when the prophet was in the flesh. This stuff ain't nothing new. And everybody talk about somebody hiding. I told y'all, they can't hide nothing from a scholar. Now we putting the ball back in our court and saying who lied to you? Because it's there.
Our own people.
See, Noble? Thank you. And I be telling people, why are heart hurting like that? And the European will tell you if they a Mason that they a son of a Muslim. Man, my professor was potentates. They tried to buy one of my books, Noble. I got a book that I put together, gathered and divinely prepared, called Divine Creed of Moors Islam. And at the university, the European potentates, my professors tried to buy my book for 10 bands to put it on the shelf. And I'll be letting Moors get the book for. Yeah, they'll shelf it. That money ain't nothing, they'll shelf it. So if I was a sucker, I would have, I couldn't even, that would have been a law. Don't put the knowledge out, don't know, it's shelf. You took this little couple dollars, it's a wrap. And there's so much wisdom in there. So I want to, so that's why, go ahead, Noble, you can go ahead and finish.
Okay. From the beginning of this book, we have witnessed the transition of the term Moor to the term Negro, and its definition in private law as practical, loud, and universal jurisprudence. Moreover, even does not expressly use the word Negro, the in Article 1, Section. There's another example. Sorry about that. Hold on. There we go. 3/5 provision in Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution is another example of how the chattel definition of the Negro slave was perceived at that time. Over time, the more Negro was used, the more it was accepted, particularly by the slaveholders.
Islam. We're going to stop right there. Show some of them pictures, man. And I just want us to narrate, man, like Noble Alonzo was saying in Exhuming of the Nation. Next week, we're going to break down the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments. When we break down what manumissions is, we're going to break this down specifically and how we can come together. When I show you that the name Negro is origin and all this stuff, we should never identify to Negro, black, and color. We should never We should never. That's why Obama told y'all that people was mad. Obama said he wasn't black because he told y'all. Look at all this. The Negro a beast in the image of God. It's in the exuberance of the nation. The Negro not the son of Ham. And I told you that's fake too. That curse of Ham. I showed y'all that in the biblical scripture. Ain't nowhere in the biblical scripture no curse of Ham. But I can show you in the biblical scriptures where it took somebody's skin and make them white as snow, and then you put it back and went to the color that it was aforetime or pre-mentioned. I can show you. I mean, it's just science. It's all pseudoscience. And I'm coming from education and wisdom. This all folly. That's what we call it in academia. So I want to open it up for any questions, man. Any questions we can build and we can be out of here, man. Any questions? Anybody want to ask anything or touch on something?
First off, I just want to, excuse the technical difficulties when we first started. Definitely wanted to introduce myself to everybody. Appreciate everything that y'all do, the knowledge that y'all put out there to the public. And, I'm just excited to, get some opportunities to build with you.
Man, gratitude, Noble. We're excited, man. I give honor for you taking time out your day to be willing to learn. A lot of times, when someone's seeking, you find for what you're looking for. Like I was telling Lamarck when he was saying, Sheik, sometimes I be all over the place looking for information. I should go in the preface like you say. And I say, well, no, I have to disagree with that, because when you're in a good place, when you're in a place of love and you all around love, you excited. So I don't care. You just need some guidance. When you're in a good place, when you're all over the place, that's a good thing. That means you have a base to build on. So that's a beautiful thing when brothers come together. That's the Holy Spirit when two or more gather. So this is a beautiful thing that we're doing, man. We're changing the atmosphere. And that's why I always try to explain to nobles, man, this is not easy what we're doing. We shaking the atmosphere. When brothers come together like this, no matter if they say they come from a Christian culture or a Jewish culture or Egyptology or even an Islam culture, I can illuminate it and show you that it's monotheism, and I can show you that a lot of stuff that you think you know, I know you haven't read it, and I can use your books. I won't come from no slander. I will use every one of your books. If you a religious Islam Muslim and you talking about some tribe of Shabazz and you talk about some of Yaqub, I'm gonna say, okay, let's go to the text and let's prove it. You can't. If you get that little red book and talk about this is the little book to the messengers of North America from Fire Muhammad, and you say the square miles of the earth is this and that, and I'm gonna use my compass and square. If this is a mathematical equation and all the stuff is false, you cannot be mad at me. You cannot be mad at me, because just like Barclay got his nephew right here, and if he trusted me to teach him mathematics, his 1, 2, 3s, and I teach him, and he got to test over 100 questions, and he go back and fail the whole thing, and I say it's all right, and they say no, it ain't, Sheik. 2 + 2 is 4, and I say no, it ain't. It's 16. And so that's what I'm saying in academia and scholarship, man. We give brothers things to compare to. A lot of the stuff is buried under a shallow grave. And so that's why I say, man, I give gratitude for brothers that's seeking. And I love all texts, man. The Bible and the Quran synchronizes. The Yasher, the Sefer, all those holy books that the Bible, even the Bible talk about. Didn't you read this in the book of Yasher? The Bible, it recommends so many books. In academia, we call that prerequisites. It's all in Joseph. It says, didn't you read this in the book of Yasher? With a question mark. In academia, that's a prerequisite. So I want us to be come from a place of light and learning. And I'm here to ask any questions, man, long as it's valid, long as it ain't about no crazy stuff that nobody else is doing, because I don't care what nobody else doing. I care what we doing. I always like to be transparent, Noble Dantes, because it's more than just speaking. I like to deal with mathematics, and mathematics is a type of mathematics I use is applied mathematics. So we are moving and we doing things. We have businesses, we have literature. We're getting ready to have our 3rd annual meet and greet. So whatever position you want to play, Noble, we more than welcome you and your family, man.
Listen, man, I have your books. I've been, tuned into the books, just trying to get a better understanding. But I couldn't. I just had to come in and, be with you guys, and just be around you guys in this type of atmosphere. So, I'm looking forward to it for sure, Nobles.
Gratitude. Any questions, man? Anybody got anything they want to ask? Noble, you may have something in your head that you may have had and you can spit it out, man. I won't give you what I think because you shouldn't care about what I think, but I will sure give you from understanding and from wisdom, if you will allow me.
You asked a question earlier. You were talking about what the symbols were, and Brian was, breaking it down. But the ultimate symbolism of that is the balance in life.
Mm-hmm. And we're absolutely, that's like balance, like Mayat. As I started showing a lot of symbols, Noble, and as you started coming to adapt class and things, you will see a lot of things is synonymous. It's just different words. It's all balance. It's all coming together. It's all synchronicity. Everything that we thought we heard, just like in the biblical scriptures, when they say Lucifer, the morning star, where that's nothing scary, because that essence is the morning star is Lucifer. The Creator called himself Lucifer. So all these, how can I say it? These Gnostic teachings that they'll make scary and try to say it's occult or try to say it's spooky. Well, everything is an occult. It's culture. It's a form of culture. When you're dealing with etymology, we have to deal with the etymology and roots of words. That's why I love language and I love history, and I love being corrected with history. And so, any other question, Noble? Anybody?
Oh, good. Boom, good. I'm straight.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Like I say, man, we do this every week. Like I said, and Saturday and Sunday, I like to be strictly to the teachings. And when Moors give donations, all the literature that I go through, I give it to everyone. All my nobles have this literature. So not only would you be able to tune in to the lectures and things, Noble, I will help you build your library. So say if you come into class for, say this, you a person that's have stick-to-itness. You be with us for a year. Every time you come to class, Saturday and Sunday, you give a small $5 or $10 donation, whatever you want on the heart, you're going to get literature. You're going to go on Amazon and look on Amazon and say, let me see how much this book costs on Amazon. You're going to take your glasses off and have to blow them like, this book on Amazon, $500. You like, this brother just gave me this book, this PDF for $5. And all I got to do is go to Office Max and Staples and have them print and buying this book in this form like this, Office Max and Staples, and they'll bind it for you. And you can have it if you want to, and you can write all in the book. If you want to bless somebody else, you can give it to them for a good price. This becomes a real NFT. A real NFT. So, I give gratitude for y'all time, Noble. Like I said, if we don't have any other questions, man, let's do our Moorish American prayer. And we can do our benediction. But once again, man, I give y'all gratitude for taking time out y'all day, for working out. I don't know if they told you, Noble, but we work out 4 days a week. We get it in. And when I say we get it in, we get it in. You hear me?
Yeah.
And all my nobles.
I gotta get in on it.
And all my nobles, man, if we do business, we try to help with business because it takes finances to build a nation. And so we did with the complete man. Everything that we have going on or what we may want to talk about, we bring it to the table. And the reason why I always recommend people to bring it to the table, for you won't get hustled outside for someone where you would pay for something that you can give a small donation to a true guide and map and get you there. And you can be a testimony, be like, man, this brother just helped me for a small donation. You trying to charge me $5,000 for it.
What city you from, Dantes?
I'm out here in St. Louis.
Okay.
What a map.
St. Louis.
Welcome.
Welcome you, Noble. We welcome you with love. We welcome you with love, man. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
Any-
I didn't know what was going on to begin the class, so I'm glad I got a chance to say something to you guys.
Yeah.
Being a black screen.
And you know what, Noble? Isn't it beautiful? Like, it's always good when I start seeing Noble smile, because when Noble smile, that means something feel good. Like we have reactors in our body, all these different ways that we feel things. So when we respond and when we smile, those are the type of responses that I like. That means it's something aha moment. You don't have to get it all right now, but I guarantee you when you ponder on it, if you have notes, you can you can bring things back to the table for clarity. That's what we do, man. We building.
One good thing about it is if you grew up in a situation where you didn't have a lot of information around you, you didn't have older siblings around you or family members around you who were in the knowledge and the know, it's good to bump into this type of environment, because you see that folks are kind of thinking the same way you are, and they have a lot of knowledge, and just being around that environment will help you be able to build yourself up and be a part of that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And Noble, that's like I tell everybody. Most of our parents and things grew up in churches and things, right? And I tell a lot of nobles, I was a divine minister for years. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I illuminate these teachings. These teachings is for us, for the enlightenment. Even the Muslims, they talk about this stuff. They won't tell you, but I'll show you in all their papers and their writings. So I never diss things. I illuminate the teachings, and I bring us together, because it's one nationality in many cultures, and we have to really understand this. And I don't separate people. I bring us together, Noble. So,
Hey, one thing real quick. I don't know if you guys remember the situation you had maybe a month or two ago where you were talking about someone who sent in an email. And Brother Malik, you were like, Don Doe. You know, that was my email. I had to change the email.
Yeah.
That's my full name.
Uh-oh.
Y'all remember that situation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, me and my girl laugh about that a lot. I said, I have to change my email. I have to make sure, you know, I'm staying who I am.
Islam, Noble. Islam. For we can know. But I'm glad you're here, Noble.
Sure.
And a lot of nobles, as we start getting familiar with people, a lot of stuff be false on here. A lot of people be trying to say they got the key to do this and it can make you this, like this, more science or something, to some magical wand, have you filling out all these papers, have you looking at being some sovereign citizen. None of that stuff here. That is none of that. We don't even indulge in no goofy stuff like that. We're not poor. We're the upper echelon of this science. We are men with families, with wives, and we do this particular science in a way that's legal and lawful.
Yeah, there's a clear difference between what Burning Bush is doing and a lot of, you know, Moors online right now.
Yeah.
So that's a fact.
And Noble, we have to. Like, brothers be wanting to debate each other, but won't debate other things and bring things to a medium, call themselves a scholar. Where what academia you been a part of? You should be able to speak from clarity and be like, well, he's telling the truth from peer-reviewed scholarly research, and then in law, I can rest my case with no rebuttal when I speak on. You don't have to like my candor, but the facts is the facts, and you must know all facets of law, because criminal law and how can I say a traffic law is not the same language.
Islam. Islam.
So once again, man, I give gratitude for everybody joining. I was just trying to see did anybody want to say something, man. It'd be sometimes when I be on school, when I be on campus, a lot of time, Dantes, and it'd be different Europeans. They be having a million questions, and I love answering them. I love it. I love it because they be like, wow. They like, you the walking book of Eli, and they look at me as their teacher and guide. And I say, isn't that something where other people look at you as their teacher and guide, and the prophet and the angel look at your brothers, supposed to come from amongst your brothers and sisters? And I say, there ain't no questions, anything, anybody have any question? Because I'm telling you, I'm telling you, they throw it at me all day, and I tell people, I never just come from no place try to have you under no belief system. I'm gonna give it to you and have you analyze it and put it in your calculator or your computer per se, which is your hippocampus, and come back and we can have a discussion. But we gotta do this, y'all, with our families, with our wives, the ones that say they love the Bible and go to church all the time. We have to do this, or what we talking about at home. We have to. So once again, man, like I said, don't nobody have no questions, man. Our Moorish American prayer, if Noble Alonzo can do our benediction, I give gratitude.
Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Noble Ali, Shalom Alakim, Ayash Ayah, Hotel, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace, 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 peace.
Islam. Islam. May the benediction of Allah be upon thee and thine always, as thou didst strive to be a credit to Allah. Make haste to bestow thine acts of love upon thy brethren, and do the best to shun thine evil. Remember to take suckle of the breast of knowledge, wisdom, fortitude, charity, love, and all things, that you might nourish the souls of men. Let truth be the shield in the manifest battle of falsehood. Know that more need not to pick the locks to the gates of paradise, by means of petty or criminal death, for behold, the key to salvation already rests within thine own hand. And yet, even though a portion of our nature is weakness, instability, and inconsistency, there still is the greater part of our nature that is divine. May Allah protect thee, guide thee, preserve thee, lengthen thy age, and give thee everlasting peace. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Haq, Ya Muhammad. Islam,
Islam.
Ashe,
Ashe. Peace, 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 noble. Gratitude, Dantes, man. We love y'all, man. Peace and love. Peace and love. So gratitude, man, for everyone joining us in our Morris Sunday School. We give y'all gratitude for coming. We're trying to get everybody to be private on Zoom so we can do things private. But with that being said, thanks everyone for taking time out your day today, because you could have been doing anything. You could have been somewhere else doing something. So I give you gratitude for listening to me. I hope you have your pencils and your papers so you can compare what I'm saying and research it. And if any of you looking for guidance, if you want to join us, man, hit me up at my email, Goodman, KHARY @gmail.com. Small donation to Cash App $KG Bay. And I love to give literature. I want this message to be spread. And I want all of us coming together learning. I want us to have our big brick and mortar out here in Arizona as we build in our land in Mojave, Arizona. I want to have subordinate temples all in your area so you can start gaining people in our certain areas. And we can do this. And the religious laws protect us. So with that being said, man, I love y'all, family. Once again, I can't say it enough. And thank you for taking time out your day. And thank you for those that gave donations. Once again, hit me up at my email, goodmancurry @gmail.com. Peace and love.